Hi, I'm Nick,
And I'm Miki.
and this is Puzzles, a How I Met Your Mother re-rewatch.
Each week, we'll be breaking down episodes of How I Met Your Mother, mostly spoiler-free, celebrating the show,
Critiquing it,
asking what aged well.
and what aged poorly.
Why is it called Puzzles, Nick?
That's the puzzle. This is episode 3, Ineffable Tannins.
Hi, Nick.
Hello, Mickey.
How you been?
I've been great. How about you? Nothing
Really
terrible happened in the
good.
world at all.
Well, boy, that could refer to so many things. I can't even keep track.
And
I gotta ask, did you finish Black Mirror?
I just did, yeah.
What did you think of the season?
Pretty good. Solid. Kind of back to its roots, I think. Yeah, overall, I liked it. How about you?
I thought it was a really solid season, too. Last season was so hit or miss. I think there was a couple standouts, and then everything else was kind of meh. So I was really excited. Like, I don't think there was a bad episode this season. Some I liked better than others, but even my least favorite, I thought was really good.
Peter Capaldi showing up in that one episode was pretty funny.
Yeah, that was the last one. We watched it a little out of order, but that was the last one we watched. That was last night.
Mm.
Yeah, and I recognized him because of his voice.
Oh, yeah. The hair completely fooled me.
Yeah. Normally, I'm not the one who will. I'm pretty bad at recognizing, as we'll see throughout this show. I'm not great at recognizing actors, but I got him right away. Of course, then I forgot his name. I was like, oh, it's the Scottish doctor.
Yeah. And then
Yeah.
the eulogy one was really good but sad.
Those were my two least favorite. Probably the USS Callister one was my favorite.
Yeah. I mean, it was I think, most highly produced one too.
Hmm. Yeah, it was a fun one. It was an episode that warranted a sequel.
It did, yeah. What else are you watching?
Well, we're waiting to start season 2 of The Last of Us, which I think you've already started.
Yes, I have.
I've got a lot of
Me-
things on my to-watch list, but
Do mentally prepare yourself going to episode 2. I don't know if you know
okay.
anything about the plot, but
Of the
has
second
anything been
season?
spoiled for you yet?
For season 2, no.
Okay, good. So yeah, you'll have to let me know how you will react to that.
Is it gonna traumatize me?
Possibly. We'll see.
Does it involve kids or dogs?
Not the bad thing.
The bad thing?
No. There are dogs in the episode, but they're not harmed.
Oh, okay, so no kids or dogs die.
No.
Okay, well, that'll be fine.
Well, assuming not. Nothing on screen.
Oh, boy. I'm a mess ever since I became a mom. So before becoming a parent, I couldn't bear just even the implication in a show or a movie that a puppy dog got hurt or emotionally traumatized somehow, or even like in what's that movie like There's Something About Mary where they toss the dog out the window and it ends up in a full body cast. Even that upset me.
I never saw that.
Oh, I don't know if it's worth a watch. It's funny. So that's how I was pre having a kid, and post having a kid. I still feel that way about dogs, but now I also feel that way about kids. So now everything I watch, it ruined true crime for me, actually. Now I'm like, that murderer was somebody's child. That poor mother. It's not even just the victim I'm upset for. It's the murderer's mom.
Oh, boy.
Okay, well, I've been
Well,
warned.
good luck.
Yeah, so we're not really watching a lot of other stuff right now. I've just got a lot of things on my to-watch list, new seasons of things that are coming up. Jury Duty.
Oh, yeah, I never got into that.
Did you watch the first season?
No.
Not at all?
I mean, kind of reality-like shows, just not my thing.
It's different from a reality show. We'll talk about it more
it's
later.
real-ish. Anyway, but so Andor is back.
Okay, I've never seen that, but that sounds up your alley.
Okay, you absolutely have to see the first season.
Okay.
It is the highest of highest quality shows that could possibly be done that happens to be Star Wars.
Is it on Disney Plus?
Yes, it is.
Okay. I'll
Yep,
add it
and
to the list.
it's very topical. It's all about resisting oppression of authoritarian government and, the costs of rebelling and, what that might mean.
Mhm.
So
Oh, well,
quite
okay, then
relevant to today's events.
very timely. Yeah, and then Handmaid's Tale, I'm gonna start watching with, one of my other friends, the last season, and, Clarkson Farm, I guess we're on season 4 or 5 now. I'm excited about that.
I no idea what this. Never heard of it before.
It's not really popular in the States. Did you ever watch Top Gear or, well, it
No.
changed names. Basically, there's this big TV personality in England, Jeremy Clarkson, and he had this other famous show, which recently wrapped up. And anyway, he's this like rich celebrity, and he decides to move out to the countryside with his girlfriend and start a farm. And it's well, if you say you don't like reality type stuff, you might not enjoy this, but it's really funny actually because he's a terrible farmer. But you also get a little insight on just like the regulations and the politics and the nonsense that farmers have to just contend with just
Hmm,
to sell some, jam, from their local farm. It's a whole
interesting.
production.
Actually, I thought, we should also talk about some of our, like, podcast inspirations.
Oh, that's a great idea. Well, there'll be a lot of overlap.
Yeah, so I guess what did you listen to that you enjoy coming into this?
Well, okay, so are we talking about favorite podcasts, or are we talking about podcasts that are informing what we're bringing to this podcast?
Well, yeah, kind of both. Like, I mean, I'm sure other podcasts we enjoyed will inform us, but
Okay. Well, a podcast I'm trying to emulate in a way, Office Ladies.
Mm.
I really like the dynamic between Jenna Fisher and, Angela Kinsey. Kinsey? Kinsley. I should know this by now. Kinsey.
Now that you said both, I have no idea.
Yeah, so for listeners who haven't listened to this, it's actually a really highly rated podcast. But yeah, what's her face? Pam and Angela from The Office do a rewatch series. I really have it's like a guilty pleasure. I really enjoy rewatch
They're good, although
podcasts.
I have to say they're really milking the monetization of their repeat season now.
I really enjoy it more when they recap, or not really recap, but they'll do like a watch party, or what is it called? Like when they'll go watch like Speed or
Oh,
that
I
that
actually skipped those episodes.
oh, they're so funny. They'll make the other friend watch a movie that they might not be into. Like the
Huh.
Star Wars Christmas special one was hysterical. I was crying listening to it on a plane. I was laughing
Okay,
my
I should
butt
listen to that
off.
one.
Yeah, have you ever seen the Star Wars Christmas
I
special?
haven't, no.
I kind of
I've
want
heard
to
people talk
now.
about it, but
So, yeah, definitely Office Ladies. Probably some of my little deep dives in this podcast I do because of what they do in Office Ladies. Honestly, like the whole thing feels like they go on these like little side tracks, and I feel like I know more about pockets and women's pants than I'll ever need to know. But I really
mm,
enjoy it. Yeah, and then lately I've been actually listening to an oldie but a goodie, the Gilmore Guys,
okay,
which
yeah.
I think you listened to a little bit and you weren't as into it.
Yeah, it wasn't my thing.
Yeah, it's very loosely structured. It's kinda long, it's not very highly produced, but I don't know, there's just something about it where it's kinda just it's nice. It's almost like watching Gilmore Girls itself in the way that it's kind of like a nice little comfort show you put on in the background, and I enjoy their
Huh.
conversations, how they have guests on. It would be really cool to have a guest on this podcast at some point.
I'm setting my sights very low for that, so if that happens, that's great, but
If we could get, like, a makeup artist or something, I would just be delighted.
sure.
Yeah. So, yeah, those are a couple. I mean, I listen to a lot of them. I think probably some of the ones you're gonna mention are ones that
Mm.
are in the back of my mind too. But yeah, what are some influences for you?
Well, I'll mention right off the bat the 2 Buffy podcasts I listen to. Buffy the Gilmore Slayer, which is
Mhm.
a comedian couple who were doing both Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Gilmore Girls, because it was their favorite each of their favorite shows, and the other person hadn't seen it, so they were sharing it together. And then, Prophecy Girls,
Mhm.
and, who just did, Buffy, and then now they're on Angel.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree with those ones for very different reasons. I miss Buffy
Mm,
the Gilmore Slayer. They were so funny.
yeah, yeah. I'm actually currently listening to they have, what's
Patreon?
the name? Yeah, they have a Patreon doing Veronica Mars, and so I'm following that through to the end.
Mhm. I've actually never seen Veronica Mars, but I would just so I could listen to, them talk about it.
It's, Veronica Mars is it's an interesting show, like, it's a little uneven, but, like, it's generally good and entertaining, so I'd recommend it.
Okay.
Definitely
After
very
Andor.
much of its time, I would say, and, also I listen to the kinda recap podcasts on the Ringer network. They do a lot of especially, it's called House of R, and then, the Midnight Boys. So,
Those are recaps of
they do lots of different things, any random movies or TV shows vaguely in the, nerd geek realm.
Mhm.
So, like, the House of R does lots of very deep dive podcasts on the things they like. Currently, they're all doing The Last of Us. But then there's also one variant called the Prestige TV podcast in that same network that does like The White Lotus, and they're also doing Last of Us and
Mhm.
things like that. So yeah, that's I've sort of taken all that in and trying to emulate the best parts of that as much as possible.
Well, so setting aside influences, gun to your head, what's your favorite podcast of all time?
All time, I think I'm dying because I don't have an answer. That's what about you?
Oh, that's so easy. It will always be, My Dad Wrote a Porno.
Uh,
The
I never
first few
actually.
season. You never listened to it? I Never Made You?
You may have maybe listened to an episode or something.
It's funnier in the first few seasons. So you've seen The Room, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So it's one of those situations where it's so bad that it's good. So like the whole premise for listeners is this guy around our age, and he's probably like in his 30s, like early 30s when the podcast begins, and his father, he's got this like eccentric 60 something year old like Irish dad, and upon retiring, the dad decided, what should I do with my time now? I'm going to write erotic novels. And they're so tragically, hilariously bad. Like, it's very clear, like, I don't know how the guy's married because he clearly has no understanding of female anatomy or human anatomy for that matter. But anyway, this guy, the son, he reads a chapter, like, each episode aloud to his two best friends, and they just tear it to shreds, and that's honestly one of the few podcasts, movies, shows, books that I've ever, like, where I would listen to it in the car, and there were a couple times where I literally had tears streaming down my face because I was crying, laughing so hard. But eventually, it wasn't as funny because I think the dad started writing for the audience because it wasn't as, like before it was funny because it was a mistake, and later I think he kinda missed the point of what listeners what they were responding to, but it's so, so worth a listen. I can't I miss that podcast too. Well,
Well,
speaking
shall we? Yeah, shall we get
Yeah.
into the show?
So we've got 2 episodes. Episode 4, Return of the Shirt, and episode 5, Okay, Awesome, a couple weeks ago. All right, so I'm going to be covering episode 4, Return of the Shirt. So this aired on October 10th of 2005. There are a couple guest stars. One is Anne Dudek. I never know how to pronounce these actors' names. At least we figured out Jason Segel. Anne Dudek, she plays Natalie in this episode. I recognized her for sure, but when I looked at her IMDb profile, the only thing that really jumped out at me was apparently she had an arc in Mad Men. I guess she was January
Hmm.
Jones's Betty's a friend or neighbor or something. But honestly, I have no memory of this. Did What did you recognize her from, if anything?
So she had a very memorable part in House, the TV show that Hugh Laurie starred in.
Which I've never seen actually.
Well, she played a doctor who was House's friend's Wilson's girlfriend, named Amber, and I
Hmm.
think actually she was involved in like some of the two best episodes of TV that were on House and called House's Head and Wilson's Heart. After that, it kind of the series kind of goes downhill, but like if you watch up to those two, it's great.
The 2 best episodes of TV,
Yeah,
not
yeah,
just
it's
the
just really
show.
really well directed, and there's like suspense and a mystery that's resolved climactically, and it's relatively moving.
Alright, one more show to add. The other one, Nick actually noticed this, and even in rewatching it, I don't know how I missed this. The introduction of Wendy the waitress, Charlene Amoya. She's gonna be a recurring character in this show. Maybe she was just always there for me, and I just didn't even notice her slip in. But yeah, welcome, Wendy the waitress.
Welcome,
So,
Wendy.
my Netflix recap of the show. After rediscovering an old shirt, Ted decides to revisit other discarded things in his past that might now be a better fit, including an old girlfriend. Meanwhile, Barney convinces Robin to say inappropriate things on the air. So, before I even get into this episode, because I'm going to come for Ted as usual, but I went into this episode really hoping to take it easy on him, but he really didn't make it easy for me. All right, so we start out as usual. Every episode begins with older Ted talking to the kids on the couch, and the theory behind this story, behind this episode, is only one story can end happily ever after, and in the rest, someone gets hurt. And then he mentions that this whole story started up by rediscovering this shirt. And you see a flashback to Ted kind of rummaging around his closet and he pulls out this shirt and is kind of like examining it. So next we're in McLaren's and the gang's admiring Ted's shirt. And Ted says that he's had the shirt for like 6 years at this point, and suddenly he woke up today and his taste had changed and he liked this shirt out of nowhere. He decided he was going to wear it. I kind of wonder if this is a follow-up to the episode with Barney, Sweet Taste of Liberty, where Barney was really determined to get Ted out of this rut and break his routine a little
Hmm,
bit. So, yeah, I don't know, maybe Barney's had a little bit of a positive influence on Ted.
sure. I mean, the creators on their own podcast mentioned that they see the first 2 episodes as kind of like a pair, so I
Mhm.
wonder if they were kinda tracking that through the season, like, kinda like doing pairs of episodes, but maybe not.
Well, maybe. Well, abruptly, Barney just says booger, and you come to learn that Barney has bribed Robin to say the word booger on TV. Robin insists that she has journalistic integrity, and Barney counters with, like, girl, you do puff pieces. But Robin's insistent. She says, look, my boss, he might move me to the city hall beat. I'm not going to jeopardize this potential promotion by saying booger on live TV.
Sensible.
Sensible, sure, sure. But then Barney says, "That's right, no, because now you're going to say nipple for $100." So cuts back over, well, not cuts back over, but the conversation cuts back over to Ted, who suddenly has taken a drink of bourbon and announces, "Hey, I like bourbon now." And Lily points out that was there when we sat down. By the way, have we seen Wendy the waitress yet?
No, I'll tell you
Y-
when.
Tell me when.
Don't worry.
I'm not an observant person. Ted's not too put off by this, and he resolves, I'm going to start forming second impressions. All right, so here's one of the few moments where I'm going to give Ted a lot of credit. I think this is a fantastic attitude to have. I think it's easy to form an initial impression about something, and then sometimes it can be easy to be reluctant to let go of that. So good for
Yeah.
him. Good for
Yeah, I
him.
agree. I agree.
Actually, I was thinking about this today when I was going over my notes. I kinda wanna try this. I'm wondering, is there something in my life that I think that I don't like or I have a certain impression about that I wanna try to form a second impression about? Does anything come to mind for you, that you would wanna do or
Milkshakes?
something for I knew you were gonna say that! So, listeners, Nick loves a milkshake, and
Absolutely.
I want to like milkshakes, especially the really fancy ones with all the whipped cream and the candy, and they're so elaborate and ornate. My hang up is I cannot stomach melted ice cream, even if it's ever so slightly melted. And like I used to work
Hmm.
in an ice cream shop. Like I know what goes into a milkshake, and it basically is just melted ice cream with a lot of milk in it. So it's the idea repulses me. And but every maybe 10 years I will retry a milkshake just to see where I'm at with it.
Of course, what's weird is you don't like slightly melted ice cream, but you love underbaked cookies.
Oh, love them.
Hate that. Ugh, it's disgusting.
Maybe that's should be your thing. I yours might give you salmonella, though, if I challenge you.
Yeah, you're right. And with the FDA going under, then, chances will go up for that.
Well, I never believe them about the raw cookie dough warnings anyway. They're fake news. Well,
Ugh,
Marshall is hoping that one of these second impressions is going to be with respect to Goonies, which have you seen Goonies?
I have never seen it.
It's
Have
been
you?
so long for me, I barely remember it. I don't remember being wowed by it. Yes. I feel like I see stuff referencing the Goonies more than anything. But,
Yeah.
Ted says, "No, no, I want to start forming some second impressions about girls." So, Barney, his opinion about all this is there's only 2 reasons that you should date a girl again: breast implants.
Oh,
Thank you,
Barney,
Barney.
you
You scoundrel, you scamp, you. I'm just we don't need to talk about that, right?
it's self-explanatory,
It's
I think.
self-explanatory. Lily's actually pretty into this idea. She said, "Okay, well, what are Ted's greatest hits?" And you get a couple flashbacks here. The first one is a woman by the name of Steph, and you see her and Ted at dinner. And it kind of leads up to the fact that she was in LA and she was struggling to make money. So she was briefly making adult films for about a month. So Ted asks, "Oh, well, okay, how many did you make?" And she goes, "Oh, 175." She, I love the way she nibbles at her baby corn after she says that.
Wait, did she just say for 1 month?
For one
I thought it
month.
was like I thought she was currently doing it, and that was just what she made in the last month. Did I
No, she
mishear that?
was the way I read it, or the way on watching it, I believe it was 1 month in the past. In that 1-month period, she made 100 only 175 films. The joke being, of course, that the porn industry is prolific,
Mhm.
probably low budget. So, Nick, how would you feel about that on a first date?
I could probably be okay with it if it was in the past.
Mhm.
Active would be a problem.
Well, that's fair. Alright, so then Lily, flashing back to, McLaren, says, "Well, say what you will about the porn industry, they are hard workers," which good for them. So then you get a second flashback to a woman named Jackie. This one was bonkers. So first of all, where are they? It looks like they're dining in an art museum or something. It's these blue curtains, but somehow like these fancy paintings are hung over them. It kind of looks like they just set up like it almost looks like they're on stage for, like, a play or something. It's a little weird to me. But
No
what's
idea.
weirder is Ted's, he's laughing and he's telling the story, and then Jackie responds, "Oh, I know the feeling." And then she tells a story, "Oh, when I was 16, she hit a hitchhiker." And then just no idea what happened to him, laughs. Ted is looking horrified. And then back in McLaren's, Ted lands on the name. Lily rather says, "What about Natalie?" And the whole gang goes, "Natalie." So, everybody had a positive impression of her. And then you get another flashback where it's this kind of soft, romantic kind of lighting and camera work, and older Ted starts to say, when I think of Natalie, I think of the tea candles on her dresser, the sock monkey collection on her bed, and that one Belle and Sebastian song she always listened to." I had never heard of Belle and Sebastian before. Had you?
No, are we supposed to is it a real thing?
It is a real thing, yeah, I looked it up. So, apparently the song that she always listened to that's referenced in this episode is called "We Rule the School." I listened to it, it's actually a really nice song. Weird cover art. It's of a woman nursing a stuffed tiger,
Okay.
but it's a really nice song. I would listen to that. And, he reminisces, about her smile. So we're back in McLaren's, and Ted says, "Wow, I haven't seen her in like 3 years." And Robin wants to know, "Well, why'd you guys break up?" And he said, "Well, I just didn't want a big commitment at that time." But obviously, well, that's changed. That's Ted's whole shtick now. So Ted asks the gang's opinion. Barney, as usual, can't move past something that was said earlier in the conversation. He is just upset that Ted dumped a porn star. He gets up and says, "Friendship over," turns around and then shouts at the top of his lungs, "Friendship over."
He's so dramatic.
So here we go. Robin is walking into her boss's office and he says, "Hey, I've got a cover story for you at City Hall." And Robin is clearly so excited. There's a swelling up of this dreamy, hopeful music. And then it cuts over, and poor Robin is just standing in front of this little hot dog stand, looking absolutely dead inside. And the the hot dog stand owner is just the cutest thing. He looks so delighted to be on TV. He's so into it. And Robin, she says, "Okay, so next time you're passing City Hall, stop by the oldest New York's oldest hot dog cart. It cost 2.50, but back when it opened in 1955, it only cost you a nipple."
Oh, Robin. But by the
So,
way,
yeah,
5 cents in 1955 is 39 cents in 2005. So I think they got their inflation a bit wrong. But if it was 250 in 2005, that would be $4.18 today.
I love that you went and checked that.
The joke wouldn't have worked as well if it was like a $1, obviously.
Yeah. Well, the guy behind Robin, the hot dog guy, you can see his face acting is great. He clearly clocks what she said, and he's like, "Oh, okay," and then just tries to pull it together. So in the next scene, based on what Robin is saying, it suggests that this was an accident. What do you think, Nick?
I think she did it on purpose. Like, she knew that, like, she had nothing to lose. She could gain $100, and but she was shocked that she did it. Like, she actually did it, but in the moment, she was probably upset with her boss and wanted to show him what for.
Not sure that she did it consciously, but clearly there's on some level, Robin was sticking it to the man.
Yeah, perhaps so.
Yeah, which, I kinda wonder. I feel like this is a criticism of millennials that, "Oh, you've
Hmm.
only been working this job for so many months and then you immediately expect a promotion." I think we learned in earlier episodes she only moved to New York in what, like April of 2005. What are we now, like October? So she's been there 6-ish months. And okay, yeah, I get she's frustrated. She maybe feels like some of these pieces are beneath her. But, you got to start somewhere. I don't know. I think maybe Robin's being a little unreasonable. If she'd been there for
Hmm.
years and I don't know, like male colleagues were getting promoted over her who had less experience or something, yeah, then that would be a very legitimate complaint. But
That's true. She did just move to New York. I guess I could see being frustrated by not getting any chances,
Mhm.
but yeah, it probably is a bit soon to be that upset about it.
And to be fair, later in the episode, we do learn some information that I think justifies Robin a little bit. But based on the information she has right now, I think maybe she's being a little, I don't know, privilege is the right word, but maybe
Mm.
her expectations are a little bit out of line with, where she deserves to be career wise this early on in her job. Well, we're back at the apartment. Robin is venting to Lily. She thinks what she did was so wildly unprofessional. Barney walks in and says, "Is it cold in here? Because I can see Robin's nickels," which was a pretty funny joke. Lily laughs too. But Barney has another challenge for Robin. Robin's trying to shut this down. There's no way I'm not doing that again. And, Barney, in true Barney fashion, he's so persuasive. I think he really nails down, this is why, you said this in the first place, this is why baby actually did this. It's not about the money, Robin. It's because, I mean, sure, Metro News 1, they don't pay you anything. Doesn't hurt to have, like, a little extra money. He's talking like a weirdo during this whole thing, but what baby really likes is the thrill of pulling one over on your bosses. And then he whispers in Robin's ear, "Okay, so for $200," and you don't hear the rest of what he wants her to say, but then Lily says, "Ew," I'm assuming, probably accurate. And Robin says, "Baby gotta think about it." So, Robin's might be on board with this. So Ted, he walks in, he's wearing that same shirt again, and he announces, "All right, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna call Natalie," and wonders, "I wonder if she's even going to remember me." So Natalie answers. This is the first time in the episode we actually see this actress. And when Ted says who it is, she tells him immediately to go to hell and she hangs up on him. So Ted puts down the phone and says, "Well, she remembers me." And we go to commercial break. Ted is looking infuriatingly befuddled. He's just trying to figure out what he did. And Barney asks if he slept with Natalie's sister. No, he didn't do that. Well, did you sleep with her mother? Nope, didn't do that. Barney, therefore, has lost interest in Ted's story. And Ted points out Natalie's birthday apparently was coming up, and Ted didn't feel ready to give her like a boyfriend level birthday gift.
And
And
Lily's doing this, "Uh-huh."
yeah,
She's
she's
getting mad at him.
preemptively, she knows that something's coming here. And so she said, "Okay, so you broke up with this poor girl right before her birthday." Ted's like, "Well, no, not exactly." And then you get this flashback to Ted's on the phone saying, "Hey, Natalie, happy birthday." He's all chipper. And then he goes, "Listen."
So listen.
Lily is irate. She's scolding Ted. She slaps the bejesus out of Ted this entire episode. Good for her. And why would you break up with this poor girl over the phone on her birthday? And Ted admits, "Yeah, okay, it was a mistake." Lily wants to know, "Well, okay, did she cry her eyes out?" And Ted says, "Well, I don't know." And then Lily's like, "Well, how is that possible?" And then she puts two and two together. This flashback was so brilliantly done. So you start
Mhm.
off with playing the same thing of Ted, "Hey, listen," and you get this really slow reveal with the split screen, and you're just looking at poor Natalie's answering machine.
I had that answer machine, actually.
Did you really? At your parents' house?
Yep.
Oh, answering machines. So anyway, back at the apartment, Lily, she can't even believe it. She's slapping Ted. How could you break up with this poor girl on her answering machine on her birthday? Ted's cowering in the corner. And then Marshall jokes, "Yeah, dude, you should have done it over email." And Lily says, that's so not the point. Marshall says, "In my client's defense, is there an unterrible way to break up with somebody?" What do we think, Nick?
I think he is right that there is no unterrible way. There are some less bad ways, but I think if the way is chosen to reduce the breakuppers' exposure to the bad feelings that they are creating, that's a worse way.
What do you mean?
So, like Ted here, he did it over an answering machine so that he didn't have to see her cry. He didn't have to expose himself to what his actions are creating in her. So he's doing it not to help her, he's doing it to help himself. And I think those are the worst ways to break up with someone. What do you think?
Yeah, I would agree with that. Gosh, I'm trying to think of the worst way I've broken up with somebody or been broken up with. Honestly, I think the breakups that have stuck with me the most have been the ones where it wasn't even that the person delivered the breakup in a cruel way or a callous way. It was more that I was so invested in the person that there really
Mm,
truly was no good way to be have that person break up with me. It was just the fact that they didn't want to be in my life anymore.
yeah.
But yeah, there's also ways bad breakups that this is a bad breakup objectively. Well, Lily pretends to call Marshall and says, "By the way, we're not having sex for a month. Bye," to emphasize the point that, okay, well, if you want to receive bad news, then sure, like if you want to do it over the phone, then so be it. Barney says that Ted should have broken up with her in person, but then follows that up by saying that desperate please don't leave me sex is great. Again, thank you, Barney.
And that's exploitative.
Highly. Ted admits it was a mistake. He didn't want to see her cry, but he
Yep.
decides, I'm going to make this right. Barney, again, it's back to him. You know what else is amazing? He says, "My sister just got married and I'm about to turn 30 sex." One thing I'm noticing about Barney,
Mm,
kind of Ted as well in a different way, but Barney, he's always off in his own little world. Like
mm.
Ted, I've noticed, and to be fair, he is the main character of the show. And he does seem to listen to his friends, but he seems to constantly bring the conversation back to his own issues and whatever's going on for him in that episode.
Mhm.
Barney's just on a whole different planet at all times. He's barely paying attention to what's happening around him. He just wants to talk about his own thing.
Good observation.
So now we're back to Robin. She's doing a news segment where she talks about New York City's oldest twins dying on their 100th birthday. And then Robin, just in a total deadpan, no inflection voice, says, "I'm a dirty, dirty girl." And then she slaps her own ass and then goes, "Ow." Well, maybe this was a step too far because a woman comes in and tells Robin that the boss wants to see her. So Robin's looking a little concerned and she goes into the boss's office, starts trying to defend herself. And the boss cuts her off and says, "Hey, my dog's making this retching sound. And I can't even emulate it." It was so funny, the impression
I'm
he
gonna
did of
try.
this. Something
Something like that.
that sounds like a cat in heat.
Well,
Like,
yeah, there we go. There we go. You did it.
and Robin's like, "What are you talking about?" He says, "Well, you've got dogs, right? Like, what should I do?" And she's like, take him to the vet."
Which he was like, "Oh, great idea."
Yeah. Thank God I hired you, Robin. So then Robin was like, "Well, what?" She wants a little feedback. Like, did you watch this? She's basically just digging to see, did he even watch this news segment? And he's like, "Oh yeah, you're a superstar, babe." Blah blah blah. And it's clear to Robin, okay, not only does he not watch her in her segments, I don't know that he even watches Metro News One at all. So I'm kind of getting the sense that Metro News One isn't the highest rated local new I don't know how many, local news channels there are in a big city like New York, but this clearly is not the number one. So we're back to Ted. He has arrived at Natalie's apartment. I guess maybe she is living in the same apartment as 3 years ago. Otherwise, I'm not sure how he would have known that.
Sure, right?
Yeah, otherwise, I don't want to go there.
Well,
But
unless
anyway,
phone books were a thing still,
oh my God, you're right. I forgot about
and
phone
she had an
books.
answering machine, so she definitely had a landline.
Okay. So there might be a phone book. Let's go with that. So Natalie hears as her a knocking. Natalie goes to answer the door. And she sees this little sock monkey through the peephole, but she can't see who's behind it. So she opens the door, sees Ted, and immediately slams the door in Ted's face. Through the door, Ted is knocking and asking to apologize. Natalie says, "Well, why don't you leave a message?" And Ted kind of feebly laughs. And then Ted says, "Okay, well, I'm gonna," he pretends to leave. "I'm just gonna leave this innocent little sock monkey out by your door and walk away." So Natalie, as every decent human being should, goes out to rescue the stuffed animal. And Ted pounces and lets himself into her apartment. So
Ugh,
intrusive.
I know. Come on, Ted, do not startle a woman and burst into her apartment. Although I guess he technically was just in the doorway, but still.
Yeah, well, it startled her. Obviously, she screams.
Right. You should have just, like, left a note on the sock monkey and then let it be. If she wanted to call him, she could.
He's so pushy. Like, I don't know why he can just
Yeah.
respect her feelings.
And why she gave in to his pressure, you know?
It seemed sudden. Like, she seemed to forgive him pretty quickly. I know he makes a cute little, like, well, we'll get to it in a minute, but I know he kind
I
of
mean, I
charms
guess
her with the sock monkey voice.
yeah, I mean, I guess, Ted is written to be very charming and self-deprecating,
Mhm.
so, yeah, maybe we're led to believe that Ted is just that attractive a personality in these
And
moments anyway.
he can be. A lot of Ted's quote unquote pickup lines would definitely work on me. He's a very good looking man too. Like honestly, maybe I would have let him back into my life too. I don't know. I don't know. I'll give him some credit there. But anyway, so Ted, he tries to give her the monkey and says, "Happy birthday from 3 years ago." Natalie says, "Up yours from 3 years ago." And Ted says, "Yeah, that must have sucked." And Natalie says, "Oh, Ted, you do not realize how much it sucked." And then you get this amazing flashback where Ted is, again, he's leaving the message and you're pulling out from this answering machine because we know this much already. And you see Natalie's friends all hiding behind her couches and behind bar stools and stuff. And clearly, they're all listening to this, waiting for Natalie to come home for a surprise birthday party. And Natalie walks through the door as the message concludes, and this one woman feebly shakes a little noisemaker and goes, "Surprise!" Her delivery was great there. So Ted's immediate reaction is that he's just offended that nobody told him about the party. To his credit, recognizes, okay, well that's not really the point here. Um, and Natalie said, he's like, at the time, "Hey, I was just this stupid kid 3 years ago, right? I was terrified of
Yeah.
commitment." And Natalie says, "Okay, well, are you? I guess you're suddenly ready to commit now." And Ted's like, "Well, actually, yeah." And Natalie says, "You must think I have no self-respect." And then that's when you get the cute little, Ted in the monkey voice, like, "Please give the guy a chance, Natalie. Self-respect is overrated." And Natalie smiles, and then you get a quick little bedroom scene of them. You see the coffee cups, so they've clearly gone to get some coffee and subsequently hooked up. I gotta say, I'm obsessed with these coffee cups you always see in movies and TV shows from New York.
Mhm.
They're like these little blue coffee cups, the little disposable
Oh, yeah,
ones,
okay.
and it looks like there's like a little Greek statues or something on them. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, yeah, I do.
I really want to drink a cup of coffee out of one of those.
I mean, is that a
I
real
really
thing or
like.
is that like just a Hollywood, like, invention
No, I
for
think this is a real thing.
okay.
I've never seen one in the wild. I don't know why they exist in me. I mean, some things, there's like fake brands and stuff, right? And that they reuse like, Let's in different TV shows. So maybe. Are you Googling it?
Yeah, I am.
It'll break my heart if it's a fake thing.
It's called, the Anthora design.
Oh,
Originally designed by Leslie Buck of the Sherry Cup Company in 1963 to appeal to Greek-owned coffee shops, and subsequently copied by other companies.
okay.
Okay,
Well,
cool. Yeah.
that's good to know. And I really, really love coffee, so, of course, this is where my focus is on the scene. I don't really care that they've hooked up. But the narrator, future Ted, he says, and then, we start dating again, and it all came back, the tea candles, the sock monkeys, the whole thing. And so now we're at McLaren's, and Natalie's drinking with the gang, and then she mentions something about, "Oh, okay, I gotta go. I got, Krav Maga." And Ted, yeah, after she leaves, Ted's like, "Oh, I think that's some kind of yoga."
I have a bone to pick with Ted here.
Go
Like,
for it!
why is he not interested enough in what she's doing to ask her what it is?
Because
Like,
he's
he should be it.
self-absorbed.
Yeah, exactly.
The gang loves her. They say, "Hold on to that one," and Ted goes, "Yeah, I need to break up with her."
Ted, Ted, Ted.
Commercial break.
Do we know how long it's been since they've been going out at this point? Like, we
3
say, like, maybe a
weeks.
couple weeks? 3 weeks? Okay. Yeah, that's,
Not good. We can get into why in a bit. So Ted agrees that, yeah, Natalie is awesome, but I have to break up with her. And Lily is acting out everything I'm feeling this episode. She just, again, starts hitting Ted repeatedly. Why couldn't you leave that poor girl alone? Just every word emphasized with a smack. And Ted says he isn't feeling that thing. It's ineffable, which Marshall appreciates that. Good word. It is a good word.
yes, it is.
And then Barney teases Ted, "Well, why don't you just leave her a voicemail?" Ted doesn't know what to say. He says, "It's been 3 weeks. I should be in love with her. I'm not." So he doesn't know what he's going to say to Natalie. Marshall suggests, "Well, you could say you're not ready for a commitment." And Lily and Marshall here, again, debate, what's the appropriate etiquette here in this type of situation. Lily says, "I'm not ready for a commitment," is a cliche. Marshall defends that this is a classic. It's the stairway to heaven of breakup lines. But Ted correctly points out, that's why I broke up with her the first time, and I already told her that I'm now ready for a commitment. Marshall suggests it's not you, it's me. Barney suggests telling Natalie she looks fat in those jeans. Thank you, Barney. And Lily suggests the truth. And, then it occurs to Ted, why is the truth so horrible here? Lily asks Ted, "What is the truth here?" And Ted says, she's just not the one, plain and simple. And why is it so horrible to tell someone that they aren't the one? And Lily's like, yeah, I mean, it's like the chances of being the one, like she compares it to winning the lottery. And Ted says, yeah, like you wouldn't be offended, you wouldn't be hurt if you didn't win the lottery. But Ted does decide this time he is going to tell Natalie in person. So we got a little growth here. Good job. But then
Baby
Robin
steps.
comes in and she says she honked her boobs on TV. I guess we missed that.
No, they didn't show it.
All right. Well, I guess it's just left it to her imagination. Barney then challenges Robin for $1,000 to do the Icky Shuffle, saying, "Albert Icky Woods, the Bengals were fools to cut you in 91. Your 1,525 rushing yards and your touchdowns will not be forgotten. So, Coach Dave Shula, screw you and your crappy steakhouse." And by this point, Barney had just completely lost me. So, I did a little deep dive.
Oh,
The
okay.
Icky Shuffle is a thing. Albert Icky Woods is a thing. This was a very famous okay, I'm not a sports person, by the way,
Neither am
everybody.
I.
Yeah, this is a common that's one thing we could give a second chance to. Some
Yeah, I'm okay.
sports thing. Okay. Well, anyway, Albert Icky Woods was a famous football player who played for the Bengals, and his thing was when he would score a touchdown or whatever, he would do something good on the field. He would do something called the Icky Shuffle, and that little dance that you see in the episode, that was the Icky Shuffle.
But what about the
So,
steakhouse? And who's Dave
yeah,
Shula?
I didn't actually think to look that up.
Well,
Dave Shula, I guess, was the coach. The YouTube video I watched said that he had an early retirement due to injuries. Maybe he hurt
I
himself
guess
doing the Icky
we'll
Shuffle.
leave this as a mystery for our listener
Yeah.
to figure out.
That's fine if anybody wants to write in and talk about the steakhouse. So Robin just sighs and she's like, just write it down. So clearly this reference has gone sailing over Robin's head too and crashing into the wall behind her. Ted then brings it back to him and starts whining that Natalie's gonna cry. And Lily puts her arm around Ted and she makes a little Goonies reference, calling back to the Goonies earlier. What does she say? It's been too long since I've seen the Goonies.
Something like Slough, Love, Chunk or something, but yeah, I have no idea what that means.
I think you're right, actually, Sloth Love Chunk. I think that was the monster type creature in the movie. Do you know what I'm talking? I know you haven't seen it, but do you know
No
what I'm
idea
talking about?
whatsoever.
All right, don't worry about it.
Absolutely no.
So we're at the restaurant, and Ted starts to tell Natalie, but she interrupts him and says, "Hey, I got 3 birthday cakes at work today, so can we please just skip the cake tonight?"
Okay, how do you get 3 birthday cakes at work? What does she do for work that requires 3 birthday cakes? Why is she eating 3 birthday cakes worth of cakes?
Maybe she has a job where she works at multiple locations, so she would've interacted with different teams in different locations, and they didn't know, like, the other
Hmm,
team gave her a birthday cake or something like that.
okay, alright.
This sounds like an amazing day. I'd say bring out the 4th birthday cake. And Ted starts to falter and says, I didn't. Oh, it's your birthday. I didn't get you anything. And Natalie says, Oh, it's okay. I wasn't telling anyone. Then I don't know why she brought it up, the birthday cake thing. It kind of seemed like she wanted him to know. Or it
I
seemed like she
guess
maybe expected him to know because she mentioned the cake.
or maybe I mean, maybe he would have remembered, but she wasn't sure. I don't know, it
Maybe.
could just be,
Or it's like a
last comment.
roundabout way for her to tell him, by the way, it's my birthday.
I don't know if she, like, plotted it out. I think she just,
Yeah.
like
I
just
don't
in
think she's
case
being
that's what he was
nefarious,
thinking.
but
Yeah.
But anyway, and then she says, "It's okay. You've given me the best gift of all," which is that she can trust again.
But it was hilarious the way she said it, like, "I can trust again."
I This actress is so good. And you know what? Every
Mhm.
once in a while when I'm watching these episodes, I've kind of learned to tune out the laugh track. Do you think I would pay more
You
attention to it since I'm not as accustomed to hearing it anymore?
you know what's interesting? When I've rewatched in the past, I, like, really noticed it a lot. For some reason, as I've been rewatching for this, I have barely noticed it. I think there is a point where they switch from playing it for a live audience and getting laughs that way, and then adding actual fake laughter, and
Oh, I
maybe that's where it
wonder
starts becoming obvious.
if we'll be able to tell the difference.
So there is a famous laugh sound effect that's like some person's laugh from long ago that keeps showing up, and it's like one big guffaw, so it'll stand out, and you'll notice it repeat over and over once it
Is it
starts
a
doing it.
guy?
Yeah, yeah.
All right, I'm gonna listen for the guffaw. Well, this I think maybe the laugh tracks catch my attention when the audience reacts a little differently, and then
I think it's the, "Well, he." I think it's something like that.
okay, well,
It's
I'll
yeah.
listen for that. But normally it kind of annoys me, but here it actually I appreciated it because I felt it was kind of echoing like the oh, like the audience just kind
You
of
know,
cringing.
I do like better that they do it this way where they record everything. There's not like a pause for laughter like they do on, like, sitcoms that are films in front of a live audience, like Big Bang Theory.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, they say a line, pause, laughter, continue, whereas on this show, it's they do everything, the little gaps are shorter, so you don't get, like, the long gaps between punchlines. I mean, it's more natural, I feel.
Apparently, there is footage out there where somebody took the laugh track out of Big Bang
Mm,
Theory, and you can watch it. Yeah.
it's disturbing.
Oh, so Ted's feeling so uncomfortable, so he chugs his wine and orders some more. So we're at the next commercial break. We're back. Robin's doing a news segment. She is interviewing the cutest little old man wearing his little top hat and his little cape, and he is a handsome cab driver. And Nick, it's a very good thing that I had my subtitles on when I was watching this episode because I thought they called him a handsome cab driver, which he is. He's a very dashing older man. But I thought there was like a typo because the subtitles said HANSOM.
Mhm.
So I looked it up and this apparently they're not calling anyone handsome. I learned that these types of cabs that you see in cities are called handsome cabs. Did you know this?
I had not.
They are named after the original designer, Joseph Hansom.
Thank you,
So,
Joseph Hansen.
yeah, thank you. What a great name. Robin's asking this handsome cab driver about the most exciting memory he's had. And he starts listing off different things like Mickey Mantle being in his cab. And then you see that Barney and Lily, they're drinking at McLaren's. And Barney notices, like, oh, the news segment's come on. And he gets up and tells the whole bar, everyone pay attention. Marshall's there too. They're all watching. And then the driver very sweetly says, well, actually, the most exciting moment is this one because look at me. I'm on TV. I'm having my story told. And Robin is so touched.
And
And
this is where, when we see the people in the bar, right over Barney's shoulder is Wendy.
Well, no wonder I missed her. Where is she?
right over Barney's left.
Oh, Wendy. All right, well, I feel less bad not noticing her, but I'm excited she's
Well, you'll
here.
feel a little bit worse about it in another scene or two.
Oh, so she comes back.
Yeah.
Wendy's not forgettable. I don't Poor Wendy. Okay. Well, what a nice moment. What a nice reality check for Robin where she realizes, my job actually does have value. I'm telling these people stories. And she really realizes in the moment, my job actually is important. It matters. And she gets up to make this speech about that. And then she falls into a big old pile of horse crap. The whole bar's staring in disbelief. And you hear all this, in the background, like, my knee, I felt it's in my hair. And oh, I didn't like this. I don't know why the show had to ruin. Isn't there like a term for this where they'll like, set up a really sweet moment and then they'll just undercut it with some joke or something to
There
make it.
probably is, I don't know what it is.
I feel like I heard this term recently and I was like, yes, yes, I hate when shows do. Maybe because it was such a new show, they felt like they had to play it safe. And because obviously we're going to see the show take some pretty dramatic risks.
I feel like I mean, they did the dramatic stuff on the main stories. I don't know, because I mean, the first and foremost, the show is a comedy, but then they have these big dramatic story moments when it comes to, like, the romance and the story, and sometimes, like, I guess later on, they have other, dramatic parts.
Hmm.
But I guess, early on, it is a comedy, like, I don't know if the scene would have worked without meeting audience expectation that something crazy needs to happen in that scene. Like, we said this, like, repeated expectation of escalating stakes in this, like, Robin doing funny things on the news and having it her decide, "I'm not gonna do something funny," and then something really funny happens anyway. I think that partly because the underlying story doesn't really matter that much. Like, it would be nice for Robin to do that, but also as the viewer, do we really care that Robin found value in TV news? I don't know.
I did, but maybe it's because I feel more kinship with other characters in the gang and less so with the main character.
Yeah,
If
it
the
makes
joke
sense.
fell flat for no pun intended, the joke fell flat for me.
Into a pile of horse crap.
Exactly. That was Robin here was how the joke was. Well, so we're back at the restaurant and Natalie says something, about wanting Ted to meet her mom. And here's where Ted does it. So
Mhm.
I'm going to give him some compliments and I'm going to give him some criticism. But here's what Ted says. Look, there's something I have to say, and there's just no good way to say it. I want to break up. I don't think you're the one for me. I don't want to waste your time because I really like you. I want to do right by you. And I think the best way for me to do that is just to be honest. I'm sorry. I thought this was, if there is a good way to break up with somebody, I think he nailed it. I thought it was respectful. I thought that he expressed his own feelings in an honest way. He acknowledged hers. I thought it, as far as breakup lines goes, perfect.
The words, yes. The way he said it, maybe not. And then how he followed up, I think, sealed his fate.
Well, he kind of implodes on himself in a minute here. I think he was prepared with. It's like he knew his lines, but then once he wasn't
But
prepared for the reaction.
but he followed up with, "It's okay, they're only tears, let them out."
Yeah,
The
that was
condescending
obnoxious.
voice. Come on, Ted.
Of course, that set up the joke of how Natalie actually
Yeah,
reacts. But yeah, that's a good point. Now, could Ted maybe not have said this a week later?
absolutely could have.
Yeah, I don't think that he had to break up with her that night.
He absolutely did not.
So, partial credit for Ted.
Let's say 10% credit.
I'm trying so hard to, to not just to give this guy a break, but this is I'm hanging by a thread, Nick. And yeah, so is this where we want to talk a little bit about is this fair for
Sure, yeah.
all right. So my and again, this might be oversimplifying things a little, but what I walked away with is that Ted did not feel he certainly wasn't in love with her after 3 weeks, but it seemed like he didn't feel like it was going to go to that place after 3 weeks. And isn't that a little premature?
Yeah, I mean, I guess there's a couple factors. One is kinda something we'll, yeah, to cover in a later relationship with Ted, where he had a previous relationship with Natalie. So there's this concept like,
Mm.
do you pick up where you left off or not? The other factor is he sought her out to start up again, saying he was serious and really wanted this. So if he wasn't sure enough to do that, then he probably shouldn't have done it at all, or he should have given him more time to figure out.
How long did they date before? Do we know?
I don't think we know. I mean, let's assume less than 6 months, so not a super long time, I would imagine. I mean, I think Ted is being a little fickle, both in deciding to give her another chance and also not realizing how big it might be to give her another chance and to like force himself back into her life and then also reject her again so shortly after. So I think he owed it to her to take it more seriously and give it more time and not just on a whim decide he's not into her. And certainly they didn't give us any reason why he wouldn't be into her. Now, obviously, like, people, chemistry wise can sometimes just not match up, but still, it seems like he should have had a better reason to do it that quickly. Like, I don't know, something like about something incompatible about the way she is with him, or something more serious than that, which you couldn't necessarily know in 3 weeks. So I think he definitely should have given him more time. How
Kind
about
of
you?
to your point earlier, I wonder if, he actually took more of a genuine interest in her, like, "What's
Mm,
Krav Maga?" Then maybe he would've found that there was more compatibility there than he gave the relationship credit for.
yeah, yeah, I think so.
But yeah, I wholeheartedly agree with that. I don't have a lot to add. I think if this were a different situation where, they just met 3 weeks ago and, they just weren't feeling it or something, that's a little more valid 'cause again, why waste the person's time? But to your point, he knew her.
Mm.
They've
Yeah,
been
I mean,
together
well,
for some time.
Ted being who he is, it probably is in her best interest that he dumped her because she's too good for him at this stage of his life. But I grade against breaking up with someone in their interest because they should be, functioning adults who are able to make decisions for themselves. So if Ted is, let's take this another way. Maybe he brings up his feelings and he's unsure, but he doesn't say he wants to break up. Maybe that communication could lead to some understanding. Maybe she could decide, like, is it worth giving it more time or to cut it off? Then she could decide whether it's a waste of time for her. But
Yeah,
yeah,
maybe. Like, not wanting to waste someone's time, I think is considerate, but I guess it should be like a secondary consideration. Like that's not the reason. That should not be
mm,
the primary reason that you're breaking up with somebody, and it's not here either. He just
true. Yeah,
I think is trying to express that I'm not just thinking about me. I think he kind
yeah.
of is, but
Mm,
he seems to know the right things to say, whether or not he needs them. Well, this actress should win an Emmy for this next scene. So she hides her face. You get this little misdirect. You think she's about to cry. Ted says his obnoxious comment, and then she picks up that big old handful of spaghetti and she throws it in his face. I know of at least two separate occasions that my mom has done this to somebody.
happened once is weird. Happening twice.
Well, you know my mom. For listeners, my mom is feisty.
If I had a nickel every time this happened to me, I would have two nickels. But it's weird that happened twice, right? Anyway, the
I don't get
Gen
the
Z will
joke.
get that. The Gen Z listener will get that.
Am I being stupid?
No, you're just not on TikTok. I mean, I'm
Oh,
not
okay.
anymore either, but
Well, anyway, Natalie says, I'm not the one for you. Ted's looking shocked. I thought this was like the mature thing to do. Natalie says, it's my birthday, and you're telling me I'm not the one for you. And then Ted, he's clearly become so, not flummoxed,
flabber, flustered.
flustered. Yeah. Ted has become very flustered and he starts stammering like it's not such a big deal. It's like you lost the lottery. Obviously that's not what he meant, but of course she latches on to that justifiably and says, "Okay, so dating you is like winning the lottery?" And it's like, "No, no, no, no. Okay, so then what's the problem?" She's trying to just get this out of him and fair. He's not really giving her
Hmm.
a clear this is why I don't want to continue to date.
Because he didn't put as much thought into this as he should have.
Yeah, actually I'm gonna start deducting points from Ted here because, yes, the speech came across as very respectful, but
Mhm,
at the end of the day, it seems like it was just words, and if he had
mhm,
genuine if he had integrity in forming those words, he would have had a better sense of how to react. He would have been able to more clearly communicate unscripted. This is why I don't
mhm,
want to be with you. Even if it was ineffable, but he doesn't know. He looks so shocked. I thought I did the right thing and this is just going so much worse. Well, of course he has no idea how much worse it's going to get. And then Natalie goes, "I'm not effable," which is one of my favorite lines from the show.
Yeah. And then follow it up with,
And then Ted, of course, has to define it for her. Okay, and then she says, "So you think I'm stupid now?" And Ted says, "What's going on?" And Tatalie breaks the whole situation down for him. "What's going on is
mhm,
you broke my heart over my answering machine on my birthday, waited 3 years for me to get over you." Hopefully she was over him quicker than that.
mhm,
"Then you tracked me down, begged me to go out with you again, only so you could dump me 3 weeks later on my birthday." She is screaming, she's making a scene, people are watching, good for her,
mhm.
and Ted just kind of ends the scene, I'm just super busy right now." He doesn't know what to say. Sending to get this quick flashback that reminds the audience, "So, hey, remember that Natalie studying Krav Maga? It was not yoga." And Natalie's paused, scene unpauses, and she does this, I think it's a roundhouse kick?
yes. Yeah.
She just knocks him flat on his back right out of his chair. Oh my god. I mean, Ted had it coming, but he didn't have that coming. I mean, it's funny,
I
but
mean, I'm assuming that in any self-defense class, you're taught to not use it offensively, but I have never been in a Krav Maga class.
oh, there's Wendy. I see Wendy. I just I got the next scene pulled up. Okay, I'm being stupid here. Well, anyway, so we're at McLaren's and the patrons are teasing Robin. These guys have sent over a drink and they're mocking and imitating her, like, "Oh, my knee. Oh, it's in my hair." And Robin's so upset. They're being so mean.
Or
So Ted walks in looking rough.
you got, like, a black eye, he's, like, all bloodied.
Yeah. He looks like he's been through a meat grinder. And the gang wants to know what happened. And Ted says, "I told the truth, and the truth has a mean roundhouse kick." Barney is so much more interested, doesn't even care that his friend got beat up. He's just so much more invested in telling Ted what happened about Robin, which, to be fair, those are two pretty good competing stories. But I think Ted's takes precedent for the moment. And then Ted, sits down. He's looking so defeated. "I thought I was doing the right thing this time." But then makes a comment that, at the end of the day, you just find yourself on the ground, like, flailing around in a bunch of horse poop, and he starts grinning at Robin and says, "My phone has the internet now," which, what a cute thing to say,
Oh, yeah.
like, 20 years later. So the episode's coming to a close, and you see a montage of, the memories that older Ted was reminiscing about at the beginning of the episode, the tea candles, and the sock monkeys, and you see that this has been replaced by an image of Natalie beating Ted up. But the narrator says Natalie was married within a year, and she has 3 kids now. I do not believe this exonerates Ted. How about you?
No, absolutely not.
No.
It just means that she happened to find someone who is a good match, and it's not Ted.
And good for Natalie. And the episode ends on a big bummer because all the kids take out of this is that Ted got beat up by a girl.
This aged poorly.
There is no way that these Gen Zers these whippersnappers in 2025, right? What year is this? 2030?
2030.
2030. The way these little whippersnappers are in 2025, 5 years from now, they're not making fun of a guy for being beat up by a girl.
Well, I mean, have you seen some polls of the youths? Especially young men are, like, getting a little crazy.
Ted's not raising these kids right if that's their response to this
Well,
story.
I hope not, but yeah.
Yeah, that's okay. Yes. So if we want to say on an average, most men could physically outpower most women. Sure, there's going to be extremes physically on one end versus the other for both, but kind of not the point. It's the First of all, Natalie's like 9 feet tall, and she knew Krav Maga. it's insulting to both Ted and to Natalie that, "Oh, you got beat up by." It's really I hate that comment. I've always hated that
Yeah,
comment.
and also, like, I mean, he wasn't gonna fight back. Like he just wasn't.
I guess the real double standard is that she had the ability to truly kick his butt, and and he couldn't have fought back.
There are levels to the misogyny here.
Boy, yeah. Anything else about that?
Yeah, I guess there's, something healthy to, the idea of, like, revisiting past things.
Mhm,
You're younger, less mature, maybe you've grown. Although I think as the episode shows, and I think maybe is somewhat true in real life, people don't change that much. Maybe in some certain ways, but, like, fundamentally, I think you are the same person throughout.
mhm.
And I think people overweight the idea that someone can completely be different.
So maybe in a high stakes situation that involves somebody else's feelings, this was a misguided experiment for Ted.
Yeah, Ted should have taken it a little bit more seriously if he was going to do it at all, and considered her feelings again, which
Mhm.
he wasn't considering her feelings the entire time, I think is the problem. It was all about him.
Yep. Um, any other things you want to discuss?
No, I'm good with this episode.
Best background actor?
I feel like I'm just never gonna have an answer for this because I'm not paying enough attention.
Well,
Um,
originally I was going to give it to the hot dog stand guy, but now I'm going to give it to Wendy because she was such a chameleon that I have to give her credit that I didn't notice her. That's so odds. I think there's some good ones in this episode.
I mean, I think the answering machine is the
Mhm.
best one here. Um,
And also the
a
plot
a device.
device
Oh, true, yeah, yeah.
of information being left in an answering machine that, causes a problem because someone overhears it.
Yeah, the kids are gonna be, like, so confused at the end that we had a thing that recorded messages at home, and when the message was left, it played them for everyone in the house to hear by default.
Wow, did, like, doctors and stuff leave voicemails with, like, sensitive or voicemails with, like, messages with, like, sensitive HIPAA protected information?
No, they probably just asked to call back.
Also, Ted bragging about his phone having the internet now.
Yeah. 2005? Yeah, that was still before the iPhones, but, yeah, having the flip phone to the internet. Trying to remember, like, could you even get good video on those things?
Probably not.
Hmm. So, yeah, Mickey, what did you, decide to rate this episode?
I'm going to give this 4 out of 5 sock monkey puppets.
Hmm. And I'll do 4 out of 5 roundhouse kicks.
Well, that's episode 4.
Alright, so we're moving on to Okay, Awesome. This episode aired October 17th, 2005, and there are actually quite a few guest stars in this, so I'll only talk about a couple that found notable. One is J-Mem Mays, the coat check girl. She was Miss Pillsbury in Glee. Did you ever see that, Mickey?
An episode or 2. We have a mutual friend who I think his brother's husband actually wrote the background music for that show.
And then the tall, nerdy guy who was standing in line, Ryan Reddit, he was one of the Double Meat Palace employees in Buffy.
I didn't recognize him.
I had no idea either. I guess without the hat with the chicken cow on it,
It's a fun
it was hard to
episode.
it's hard to tell. All right, so the little summary of this episode is Ted and Barney and Robin go out to a club while Marshall and Lily hold a wine tasting night, but none of them have a very good time. All right, so we start with the kids on the couch. Narrator says, "So, kids, would you like to hear a story of the time I went deaf?" The son says, "Why does he bother asking?" Daughter says, "I know, he's just going to tell us anyway." Narrator says, "I sure am." Then we go into the story. Cut to McLaren's. Robin walks in, says, "Say I'm your bitch." Ted very wryly says, "I'm your bitch." Why this time? So we established that Robin apparently does this a lot, and Ted plays along a lot. And I think it's also nice to see Robin and Ted interacting entirely platonically in this way.
They make for good friends.
They do. And actually, I'm glad the show they did have that little, like, lingering, like, look of Ted over to Robin when they first started hanging out, like, when they, first agreed that, it wasn't gonna work. But I'm glad they've decided to establish them as actual friends and to do their own things and, like, not have this, like, constant tension there. It's just like yeah, they're friends, and maybe something will happen later, but, like, in this moment, yeah, they're just hanging out.
Yeah,
Like,
because I
I think
think
it's nice to see on
sometimes
TV.
yeah, it's refreshing because sometimes there's, like, a little too much emphasis on romantic
Mm.
relationships in media, and friendships can be just as interesting, if not more sometimes, because you don't get as much focus on those types of platonic stories sometimes.
And particularly romantic connections within the main cast of a TV show.
Yeah.
It's very incestuous in some ways.
Yeah.
So, Robin says that she's gotten them into this club named OK. Barney says, "Okay, awesome." And Ted wonders if he's having a stroke. Barney says a friend waited outside for 2 hours and couldn't get in, so it's very exclusive. Ted dryly asks Barney if Barney is the friend, and Barney retorts, "No, a friend of mine named Shut Up." So Barney's being just a little sensitive. The owner apparently goes to Robin's gym and is a fan of her reporting. I guess the horse crap incident made her a minor celebrity. So, like, I don't know, is he a fan of her reporting or just like found her funny on the news? Or that's unclear at this
Maybe
point.
sh were things going viral then?
I mean, YouTube was that? Yeah, YouTube
Yeah.
was starting out, so there were some early internet videos. So yeah, maybe they're around that era, along with Star Wars Kid and
Oh,
Fire
yeah.
the Missiles.
Oh, yeah. I am lit tired.
All right, take a nap. Then fire the missiles.
The Gen Zers are gonna be so ostracized by our podcast. They don't know what we're talking about.
The early internet was amazing before it all went to
Oh my gosh.
I should
Badger,
say
badger,
crap.
badger,
Oh, yeah.
Mr. Stabby,
Don't know Mr.
classic.
Stabby.
You what?
I don't know Mr. Stabby.
Oh, I'll see if I can find it for you.
Charlie the Unicorn, though?
Charlie, Charlie. Okay.
Not to be confused with Charlie Bit My Finger. Two different Charlies.
Also great.
So the owner invited Robin to the VIP room. Barney then insinuates that the guy is going to show her his own VIP. Robin asks what VIP means to Barney, and he says, "I don't know, but the P is penis." So Robin asks if she should invite Marshall and Lily, and Ted and Barney both laugh at this. So it turns out we go to a montage here, and the narrator explains why. Lily teaches kindergarten, and we see a cute snapshot of her with her class. And during nap time, a fellow teacher was telling her about doing this adult couple stuff, going to a bed and breakfast. And that's what Lily did on the weekend. And we see a clip of Lily chugging beer at the bar, surrounded by chanting patrons, and Marshall's timing her. 10 seconds. Lily says, "Suck it, losers," and then gives a long, loud burp. And then she says to her colleague, "Just quiet time with the fiance." And then we're back on the apartment couch with Marshall, saying she felt embarrassed, she proposes doing grown-up stuff with Marshall, and Marshall makes a joke about doing grown-up stuff all this morning. Yeah, but it wasn't classy. Uh, Lily suggests doing a wine tasting party, and then Marshall says, "Yeah, let's rock it, maturity style." So we're now back in McLaren's in the present. We're doing this like random time jump stuff that the show likes to do now. Ted says they've been doing a lot of classes in similar. Barney remarks, "All the things you do when you know your next 1,000 lays are coming from." Of course, he says it like it's a bad thing.
Not a bad thing.
Robin mentions that her friend Kelly will be there. Seems like she's been talking her up to Ted for a while. Fun, smart, lives in the moment. Barney translates this to she's ugly, she Uggs in the ugly. Great. But then Robin follows up saying she's totally hot. Barney is going way overboard with this, but I guess there is a trope that when you're trying to set some people up, you kind of like hide their flaws and you try to, you know, sell them to each other, and so I guess we'll just take it as an exaggeration of that trope. But
The fact that you're, like, focusing on your personality, which is actually kind of important, means that this other thing needs to be glossed over, this other detail.
Barney turns on a dime and asks if Robin has any other hot friends, and she says no. She just shuts him down.
Like, she cuts him off.
Yeah, and good reason. Back at the apartment, Lily compliments Ted's blazer, saying he spilled gorgeous all over it. Lily's got some smooth lines here. Barney comes out right in the unlocked door, common sitcom trope, with a very shiny shirt, and Lily jokes that they've been wearing the same thing, but oh, it's just her shirt reflecting in his.
Is
And
Barney
Barney,
Kramer?
yeah, Barney's kind of Kramer in this show. Although he did knock in the last episode, I think, or the 2 episodes ago. So they don't always have to do this. And Barney says one of the 24 similarities between girls and fish is that they're both attracted to shiny objects. You never really read my blog, do you? And Lily just looks at him like he's crazy and walks off. The right response.
It's not a
Marshall
good
proud
shirt.
no, it's not. Marshall proudly says they're going to be pairing up wines with gourmet cheeses. And cue up the sound because Barney calls their heterosexual relationship so gay, and Ted laughs.
This aged poorly.
I don't think we have to belabor that one. That's just, come on, guys.
It's gonna come up again, so maybe we can talk about it a little at the end.
Yeah. Okay, we are outside okay. Ted and Barney walk past the line, and Barney is in his predator mode. Ferocious cutlets here tonight, he says, rubbing his hands.
Cutlets.
Cutlets? All right, he says hookup strategy, find a cutlet, lock her in early, grind with her all night till she's mine. And he's like miming grinding. Such a dork. Ted asks him if his strategies ever work, and Barney turns the question around as if it works all the time. But he ends up saying, either way, it's the same answer about half the time. Robin comes out of the club saying, my bitches. She tells the bouncer they're with her, and he lets them in. A few nerdy guys are standing at the front of the line. One is playing a Game Boy Advance, and they try to convince the bouncer that they're also with her, but naturally he doesn't buy it.
Which one is the guy from that Buffy episode? I've
The
got it
tall
pulled up
one.
now. The tall one. Okay.
Yeah.
With the glasses. Okay.
We're back at the apartment. We have the three couples over. They're eating veggies with some sort of dip stuffed into a half a bell pepper and some cheeses and olives. The other couples are talking about 30-year mortgages and high-fiving about that. Marshall is asked about kids, and he puts his foot in his mouth. This is a common pattern with Marshall. He says he loves kids, but feels like they'd be an anchor weighing them down to one spot forever. And the other couple looks aghast. Turns out she's 3 months pregnant. I'm not sure why she's so offended by someone saying this because like he's not saying all kids suck, but like he's saying for him it's kind of feels hard. But yeah, it's heightened for the comedy.
Two unrealistic things about this too. I get that they're grown-ups, but they also live in New York City. So I don't know that people in their late 20s in New York in 2005 were getting 30-year mortgages. Maybe that's
Well,
what
they're
led to 2008.
I'm betting they're moving out to the suburbs or something, or they're living like maybe outer Brooklyn or somewhere where they could actually like own a home, but like
Yeah, I'll suspend my disbelief. Also, the pregnant lady came to a wine tasting party. What a bummer for her. I mean, I guess you can have a little wine when you're pregnant, but
well,
if
there are other
she's
cheeses
choosing
though.
not to drink, what a bummer. Oh my gosh, when you're pregnant, you can't eat any fun cheeses. All soft cheeses are verboten.
Oh no.
You can't eat
Okay.
you can't eat anything fun when you're pregnant.
To be fair, I did not see any soft cheeses on the spread there. I saw a couple blocks of cheese. So
Well, maybe
maybe they were okay.
they were being considerate.
So anyway, Marshall forces a smile and says, "It's not awkward unless we let it be awkward." And he quickly goes off to the kitchen embarrassed. And back at okay, the gang walks in and Ted checks his coat. Robin tries to play it cool about being invited to the VIP room, but then she shuts them down when Ted asks if they could come. As they're walking up the stairs, Ted comments that it's loud, and then we enter the club itself, and the music is deafening. So much so that we can barely hear anyone speak, and the show switches to using captioning.
So funny.
So, and this is just generic house techno music loop, and this won't be the last time in the show we hear this music loop. Robin finds her friend Kelly and pulls Ted over to her. Kelly is just in a corner, kind of dancing by herself, like right by someone's table. A little weird. Barney, back to Barney. He kind of opens his shirt up a little bit, and he like licks his lip as he like scouting the room. Robin introduces Kelly to Ted, and Ted asks if she wants to go somewhere so they can talk. She responds totally and grabs Ted's hand to dance with him in the middle of the dance floor. She clearly thought he was asking to dance. Ted just rolls with it, and he kind of struggles to dance well.
Why does Kelly look familiar?
I looked her up, and I didn't see anything that looked
What's her name?
that I recognized. Nessa Evigan?
No clue. She just looks awfully familiar. Okay. I'm gonna let it go.
I mean, it looks like she was in some Hallmark movies.
Well, that would explain it for me then.
She was in like a long stretch of soap opera.
I don't think I've
She was
ever
in an
seen
episode
a
of Boy Meets World when she was young.
Oh,
Anyway,
one of those faces.
so then Barney spots a woman being grinded on by some guy who then suddenly just like dances away off stage, and then Barney just slips in without her realizing, which is not cool.
Ew.
Yeah.
Oh, also, that's
Uh,
what she said.
yeah. Uh,
But yeah, not super, super creepy.
not at all. So back to the apartment. Marshall asks Lily if it's weird that Ted didn't invite him out. So we again get this theme of Marshall feeling left out. Lily asks if he would really want to be out of the loud cub, and she starts making the bass line sounds, douche, 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 in his face. Douche, douche, douche. Marshall asks if the party was what Lily really wants, and he starts mocking the guests. And then the pregnant woman was right behind him. Marshall says, that was awkward. And then she goes around, looks like pissed off, and goes back to the couch. Now, Lily runs out of the kitchen with 2 bottles of wine and yells, let's start drinking. But this one guy says, not so fast. In order for the tannins to mellow, we should let it breathe for 30 minutes. Lily is devastated. Freaking tannins. Back at the club, Robin is trying to get into the VIP room, but the bouncer just isn't letting her in. Ted asks Kelly how she knows Robin, and Kelly says she's a Sagittarius. Ted then asks if that's near Westchester, and Kelly says she would love a beer. She mimes a drink, and then Ted gets it. So I love this whole complete miscommunication on both sides here. Back in the kitchen in the apartment, Marshall is telling Lily that the others are watching the ultrasound video and says even the baby looks bored. Lily tries to put a good spin on the evening. They just got an invite to one of the couple's fondue fest the next Saturday. Lily says, it's dipping stuff in hot cheese. What's not to love? And I totally agree. I'd be always down for a fondue fest. And Marshall thinks about it and also agrees. But he says he'll be dipping stuff in hot cheese with boring people, and he doesn't want that. But Lily says, it's time to grow up. Now, the narrator says Marshall knew she was right. He had to stop acting like a kid, but not today. So Marshall goes to the bathroom, and then he goes out the window, and the narrator says he doesn't know if it's true because the apartment is on the third floor, but Uncle Marshall swears it's true. And then we see Marshall gently hit the pavement and then like run to call a taxi. So we go back to the club. Ted's desperately trying to get to the bar to get a drink from the flirty male bartender through a sea of women. He's ignoring Ted, and we get this like kind of moving camera shot as if it's from the bartender's viewpoint, and Ted's head is like popping up in like between various women trying to catch his eye. Then suddenly Ted pops up from underneath, right in front of the camera, in front of a bunch of women, and the bartender looks like really disappointed and startled, and then he's like, "Fine, I'll get your beers." There's this one background actor who's just like staring at Ted and shaking her head as he's like trying to pay for the beers.
Oh, yeah, I see it's the blonde woman I think he popped up in
hmm
front of.
They do this bit where they're trying to communicate how much the beers cost, and Ted like is trying to figure out because can't believe what the actual cost is, and it turns out it's $34 for 2 beers, which seems excessive even for a club, but
This is why those couples don't have mortgages, at least in New York City.
well, I don't think they're going to clubs though. So,
That's why.
so back in the apartment, the couples are talking about Nora Jones, and Lily's looking like she's about to break. Lily says, "Please tell me we can drink the wine now." The Tannins guy says, "5 more minutes. We don't want to rush those tannins." And Lily says, freaking tannins. Back in the club, now we have a different generic club music loop. Ted brings Kelly her beer. Ted asks if she really likes this place, but she doesn't answer. And Ted says, you have no idea what I'm saying, do you? She just smiles and nods. So Ted, because he is a child, decides that saying random crazy things is a great idea. So he says, I'm from outer space. I got thrown out of SeaWorld for humping a dolphin. And then the music suddenly stops right as he says, I'm wetting my pants.
Can
And
you
then
imagine if it stopped right when he was saying, "I got kicked out of SeaWorld for humping a dolphin"?
I think this is just as bad. Because I think people would think that's crazy enough to not be true. The wedding pants thing
Maybe.
is like at the edge of realistic.
Mhm.
And the crowd reacts. Kelly looks disgusted, and the music starts right back up, so he can't explain that he's just a dork. So Kelly leaves to go grind with the same guy that was initially grinding with Barney's partner, actually. Yeah, the same guy. I don't know. He's a very prolific grinder, I guess. Um, and I do think it's interesting though. At this point, they called out Barney's plan early on in the episode was to pick one woman, dance with her all night, which allowed them to ignore Barney for most of this episode. Because we're not wondering what Barney is doing. We know exactly what he's doing. He's just dancing with this one girl all night.
Mhm.
So I don't have to have Neil Patrick Harris in all these scenes.
Well, it seems kind of out of character for Barney. I feel like he doesn't have the attention span to commit to even grinding for one
Mm,
woman for how long are they in there? Like an hour?
good question. Maybe. Oh, I guess I mean, grinding is sexual enough that maybe he's getting off on it. So maybe
Ooh.
it's
Which makes what happens later so much worse.
yeah, yeah. So the narrator says, "That's when I realized clubs weren't awesome. Clubs weren't even okay. Clubs sucked. I had to get out of there." Yeah, so Mickey, do clubs suck? Or was there a point where you thought clubs didn't suck and then you realized they did suck?
When I was in my early 20s, I liked going out to clubs. That was a pretty short-lived period because I think my natural state is I am a grandma. I don't get me wrong, I love to have me some wine, but I would rather drink that wine in my pajamas at home than, in a club, even when I was single.
Yeah, there was a period where I enjoyed clubs, but I mean, I never really went very much. But
Not so much
yeah,
now.
well, these days it's too loud. One, talk to someone is
Mhm.
important, and you can't do that there. So yeah, no more clubs. Well, and I'd say maybe a couple times a year I would appreciate the liveliness, but yeah, maybe only a brief period.
A bar, sure.
Yeah,
Or, like, maybe if there was, like a drag show or something, like a fun, like, event or something that was
mm,
at the club.
sure, sure. All right, so we're back outside the club, and Robin is calling the owner of the club to try to fix the situation with the VIP room. And Marshall shows up, and she gets him in by signaling to the bouncer who's still there. And the nerdy guys who are there, standing there still, react. The Game Boy guy says he was probably someone famous, and they all speculate that he was a third Affleck brother, Keith or Brian. And they high five because they decide they saw Bet Brian Affleck,
I didn't even know there was a second Affleck brother.
Casey Affleck.
Do I know him?
I mean, I think he's been in a couple things, but I can't remember what they
Okay.
were. Yeah, look, why are they still there? Like, isn't there literally anything better to do than stand in line for a club? Anyway, as she's leaving a voicemail, the bouncer shift changes. Robin hangs up frustrated, and then the new bouncer won't let her back in, says her name was already crossed off. She tries to reference her work, and the bouncer doesn't even know there was a channel one. So yeah, nobody watches this channel. So she's frustrated, but we go back into the club. Barney is still dancing away with the same woman. Ted taps Barney on the shoulder to signal to him that he's leaving, and Barney signals to Ted that he wants to know if the woman he's dancing with is hot. And by the way, they have a pretty good like hand signal communication thing going on. So I think they've been practicing since the Liberty Bell to like, to get better at this. And so Ted says, "Nice eyes, cute smile, out of your league." And Barney's like, "Yes." So that's when Barney actually like puts his arms around her to dance more closely. And Ted's about to hit the coat check when Marshall runs up. Marshall says, "Coat wench, do not uncheck that man's jacket." He apologizes though, but she likes it. Ted asks about Lily letting him come, and Marshall dismisses her. And Ted says, "You're so dead." And Marshall says, Yeah, I'm so dead." Marshall says he came here for Ted and convinces Ted to do just one beer with him. So they go back in. But we cut to them coming away from the bar with beers with the screen saying 1/2 hour later. And they cheer to no Tannins. The narrator steps in with the scene paused here because he forgot to tell us that Marshall had gotten a temporary crown put in earlier. The scene resumes, and as he's like chugging a beer, the crown comes out. And now I've had crown on my tooth, and I've had one fall out, and so the exposed tooth is usually very sensitive. So, yeah, Marshall's not having a good time right then. Ted tries to get Marshall to leave, but like he's having none of this. He's committed. He's like kind of in agony, and like he's holding his cheek, and he's dancing, and like, oh, poor Marshall. Back in the apartment, Lily knocks on the bathroom door to get Marshall, but he finds that he's not in there. But the bathroom window is open, so she calls him, hears the club music, and she is pissed. And then the narrator says he's fucking the details, but we see Lily hit the pavement just like Marshall did. Now we jump to outside the okay. Lily shows up and Robin's just sitting on the curb. Why is she just sitting there? I guess she's just processing her frustration.
She's defeated.
Lily asks Robin to get her in, but Robin can't. Her ego bubbles burst. She's not a VIP. She's a lonely little pea sitting in the gutter. Lily says that she'd take a pee in the gutter over Julia Roberts any day. And then she realizes how weird it sounds, and they both laugh. So they play a little lampshade on that joke in the show. And so we go back into the club. Ted signals to Marshall that he's leaving, but shows him Barney. Now the music is mixed beats and silence, so Barney and Marshall can talk in brief bits in between the beats. Marshall asks Barney for aspirin. Barney says, "Maybe there's." a machine in the restroom. And he like nods twice to the beat of the music. And this is a line reading I still think about sometimes. And just the timing of it is like perfect. Marshall stumbles into the restroom and we see a very sped up video of people passing by while the narrator says he never found out what happened in there. But Marshall comes out looking like he's very high. He's very happy and smiling.
What do we think he took, and where do we think he got it from?
I mean, I guess I would assume ecstasy. I know nothing about any
Yeah.
drugs beyond marijuana, so
Yeah. So to remind listeners, I think we talked about this in our first episode. We met in the chem-free dorm. I think we've become
yeah,
less chem-free.
mildly, only mildly.
Yeah, like what we drink now. We don't know much about drugs. I get confused a lot when I watch TV shows because I'm like,
Yeah,
wait,
yeah,
is like smack, is horse the same as smack? Is that cocaine? I don't know.
yeah. So, listener, if you know exactly what this probably is, let us know.
If someone's ever offered you drugs in a club bathroom, share.
Not the drugs, just share your information. So Ted goes to, so Ted goes to get his coat, and then he vents to the coat check girl about how bad the club is. But they start bonding over how things they're supposed to like are usually they usually suck. Back outside the club, Lily is
The
venting to
curb.
Robin, and you know that reference?
Buffy.
No.
Oh, I
There's so a TikTok video.
I started I've been hearing this on the Prophecy Girls podcast.
Oh yeah.
Are they
So
referencing a TikTok video?
it was I think it was a TikTok meme, and then I think it's from the show Broad City, if I remember correctly. So there's two women at the club, and they're talking about like the strangers in the club, and one of them says like, "In the club, we all fam," and the other one goes, "What?" And she goes, "In the club, we all fam," and the other one goes, "I don't understand what you're talking about," and she goes, "In the club, we are all family. What are you, racist?" And yeah, anyway,
So it's
that's
the club.
the club. And also, there have you seen the Megalopolis movie?
No, I saw an honest trailer for it and it looks so bad.
It is absolutely terrible. But there is one scene where he says not the quite the same, but he's talking to a woman. He's like, he says, "Go back to the club." It's worth seeing those clips at least, so you should do
Okay.
that. Anyway, back to the show. So we're outside the club. Lily is venting to Robin, but Robin is making fun of Lily for wanting to do a wine tasting. Yeah, like Robin, why are you making fun of Lily? Like that's a little mean, you know. Robin wonders why, but I guess this is
Is
fair
she?
though. Robin is well, she was like she was saying it was silly, like it's too proper and classy, and but Robin does have kind of a good point. Like, why is Lily trying to change herself? Because like Lily did like the previous week when she was chugging beers, and she brings up how Lily flashed a tour group on a dare.
To jump in, I think maybe I was just thinking about this. Maybe people are giving Lily and Marshall a hard time about this because it doesn't feel like authentic to them. Like if they were
Mm.
those kind of people who that was their jam, they wanted to have wine tasting parties, then it would seem more natural. But because it seems out of character for them, maybe that's why the gang is teasing them so much about this.
Although there's maybe a little element of, too of like, um, I mean, everyone else is still single, so they're kind of like trying to drag their married friends back down to their level a little bit.
Yeah, maybe so. Because obviously we're kind of seeing like security is on both sides. Like how is like Lily and Marshall getting married, changing the dynamics of the friendships, and yeah, maybe that's like Ted and Barney and Robin reacting to that.
It'll be interesting to track how that changes over the episodes as like
Hmm.
relationships change. Yeah, so Robin is wondering why Lily is trying to change herself, and brings up how Lily flashed a tour group on the dare, and we find out that Lily actually also did a few more times for fun. Lily thinks that is all behind her, and Robin says, but you can go wherever you want. Like that's false. You can just do whatever you want. And no one's prescribing what adulthood should look like, which is fair. So Lily wants to go inside to find her husband, or sorry, her fiance. Not
Her
yet,
future husband.
but Lily wants to go inside. Robin says, "Well, that's the one thing you can't do." But Lily just says, "Follow my lead." So Lily goes up to the bouncer and she flashes him. And the three nerds who are somehow positioned behind the rope now just so they can see this happen. So Lily encourages Robin to do the same, and Robin looks scared but does it anyway. The bouncer obliges, he's very happy, and the nerds are all shocked. He said, Those are the 4 greatest and only breasts I have ever seen.
You know, in watching this, as we're talking, this is a gripe I actually have when women flash people in
Mm.
TV shows, in movies. This isn't the rant you think it's going to be. The rant is I don't think any of these women are actually wearing bras because you can't
No,
just.
this is the rant I thought it was gonna be.
Okay, well, you know me very well. I'm glossing past the fact that they're using their wiles and exploiting their bodies to get into that's fine. I don't care. Yeah, if they're you can clearly see by the way Lily and Robin have lifted up their shirts, they're not maneuvering any bra out of the way.
Mm. I could believe Lily may not be wearing one, but yeah,
Well,
maybe I don't think Robin.
bras aren't always, to contain like sometimes frankly they're just there to cover your nickels.
True, true. Maybe she has pasties on or something. Who knows?
Good job knowing what that is. Not a lot
Thank
of
you.
guys know what pasties are.
I'll take that compliment.
Yeah, I'm impressed.
So, yeah, they flash him to get in, and now we're back inside the club. Lily walks by the coat check, and we see Ted is now inside flirting with the coat check girl. Ted segues into asking her out, joking that they should go to the DMV and the dentist. Ted then challenges her to guess how many of the coats that he could put on at once, which I think is kind of stupid, but apparently it works on her.
These are the moments where I think Ted has game. It's when he's being
Yeah,
himself. It's really adorable.
that's true. Although, if you're the owners of the coats, yeah.
Also, he makes that poor girl put all the coats back before he leaves. I noticed later.
Boy. And then we have yet another generic club music loop, and we see Lily and Robin like circle around the club looking for Marshall. Marshall is in the middle of this dance circle, dancing a storm up by himself. And then Lily sees this. First, she looks a little bit hesitant, but then she laughs. She's warmed back up to him. Just quickly flashing back to the apartment, we see the couples there. They have no idea that Marshall and Lily are gone. They're playing Trivial Pursuit, but they're trying to make it seem like very suspenseful for the wedge,
Maybe they just
which
don't
isn't.
care that they're gone.
Yeah, probably not. Yeah, Trivial Pursuit is a very boring game.
It's
We tried playing
trivia.
it a few times as a kid. Yeah, but well, first of all, it's like old people trivia from my parents' generation,
That's
at
one of the
least the
few
game
board
I
games
had.
I actually enjoy. I'm a grandma.
There you go. Back in the club, Barney actually making his move now. He's starting to kiss the partner's cheek, and then she finally turns around, and she's startled. She screams, "Barney!" Barney backs up like towards the bar. She storms away. Barney is shocked, and he starts like dry heaving. He runs to the bathroom. Then we see Barney's rushing out. He runs into Ted, who is now wearing at least 5 coats, and Barney like wants him to leave. Barney tells Ted that it was actually his cousin Leslie. Barney has a cousin Leslie. Barney tries to get Ted to swear to secrecy. Ted promises, but of course he's currently telling his kids. Then he extorts Barney into tipping the coat check girl, even though he didn't check a coat. And Ted says that's a handy new trick, which we never see again. Barney and Ted go back in to get Marshall, but Marshall and Lily are grinding and making out on the dance floor. Narrator says, so Lily and Marshall rediscovered their youth. It was nice, and then it got icky. And we see Lily and Marshall are getting heavier, and the gang, now joined by Robin, all look a bit disgusted at this. Now we're in the taxi. Barney's in the front seat. Lily's asleep on Marshall's shoulder. Lily's in the center seat. Marshall's on the left, and Ted's on the right. It's very, very quiet for a long time. And then they start having a very loud heart-to-heart conversation because no one can hear anymore. And Marshall just doesn't want to be left out of the fun. But of course, Barney doesn't really know what's happening, so he just keeps interjecting comments on the evening and responding to his name, not really knowing what's going on. Lily wakes up, thinks she's gonna barf, and then she doesn't and goes back to sleep. Ted calls the wine tasting fruity here,
This aged poorly.
and he wants those things, but he has to do the Barney stuff to find the woman he can do those things with. So I think we're kind of going back to like Ted's like the thing he has to like play a game in order to find someone, stoop to Barney's level somewhat in order to do that. Maybe there's like maybe a little bit of truth to like at least like getting yourself out there and like trying things and like meeting people, but maybe not the Barney side of things. But Marshall says like, "Hey, maybe it'll be that cute coat check girl," and Ted says, "Yeah, maybe it will be." And Neri sadly says, "It wasn't." which I'm kinda curious about 'cause we don't get any other story about this, but he sounds so depressed saying that it wasn't the cook check girl. So,
Yeah,
like,
it
I
seems like
wonder
they had
what
chemistry.
yeah, so I wonder what the story is there, 'cause I don't think we see her again in
He
the
probably just
series,
dumped her on her birthday.
right? Or he just decided not to call her. But then Lily switches to Ted's shoulder, and then Ted and Marshall both smile at each other, and the credits roll. So, yeah, anything you wanna talk about with this episode, Mickey?
I'm really confused what makes wine tastings so gay.
Yeah, I'm assuming it's the association with, like, fancy things, I guess, but, like, still, that's yeah, it's, uh,
It seems like anything that's above, like, bare bones basic, that can be called
mm,
gay. I know it's
I think
sometimes it just really I'm like,
yeah,
How? I understand it's being used in a derogatory way,
mm,
but I don't get it. I didn't
yeah,
remember this being one of my gripes with the show.
mm.
Honestly, probably in 2005, this was going right over my not over my head, but I just probably wasn't paying as much attention to it.
It's probably more normalized to us.
Yeah, and even down south, I don't hear it thrown around like that as much anymore.
Mm, that's good.
Yeah, it's actually of course, I'm in
Uh,
Nashville, which is a little more liberal.
mm, true. So, yeah, do you have any candidates for, That's So Oz?
I don't for this episode, do you?
Yeah, I struggled with this one.
A lot of
Mm.
stuff that happens in this episode, I think, could still happen today.
Yeah, I could maybe point out the Game Boy Advance, but, like, that's, such a minor part of the episode, I wouldn't really I also it's kind of, I guess, cheap to go after the technology every time, so I feel like it doesn't really count.
I guess That's So Otts could be throwing around the term gay so flippantly.
Yeah, yeah, actually, that, fits better, sadly.
Oh, I got one. Okay. The fact that they're taking a cab instead of an Uber or a Lyft. Although, I don't know
I
what it's like in New York right now.
I think it's more common in New York to still have taxis, but I guess I don't know. But I do think if the show were to be redone today, I think there would be more often use of, like, Ubers or something.
Mhm.
I will say, like, for this episode, I do have a best background actor, and it is the one woman, who was shaking her head at Ted for taking his time to pay for the drink. He got in front of them, he cut the line, he was taking his time to pay. Not good behavior.
I'm not weirdly, I'm not gonna give him too hard a time about that because it's like driving in heavy traffic. You have to get a little aggressive and opportunistic at such a crowded bar.
That's true, but also, like, if there's a bunch of people in front of you, you can at least wait for, like, the one person in front of you to do service, and then you go forward. I mean,
Yeah, she was certainly entitled to make that hilarious face.
yeah, so I rated this episode 3 out of 5 freaking Tannins.
Oh, you took mine.
I'm sorry.
I rated it a little higher. I gave it 4 out of 5 coats.
I mean, now reading it back in this recap, I think there are more funny things than, maybe watching it. I don't know, for some reason, the episode never left a big impression on me. So I think that's why I'm writing it 3 of 5. I think I wanna remind people, like, for me, like, 3 of 5 is a solid, good episode, but it wasn't, like, particularly exceptional, and it wasn't particularly bad.
Okay.
And so, like, for How I Met My Mother, like, 3 of 5 is great. It's great. But I'm saving the 4s and 5s for, like, something that, like, stood out in some way.
Okay. Yeah, I think I'm a little more gracious. Probably for me, 4 is like a like 5 out of 5 is outstanding. 4 out of 5 is like a good episode I would rewatch. 3 out of 5, we're
Mm,
starting to get into territory where there's some flaws that impact my enjoyment of the rewatch. Like this one, I thought, honestly, both of these episodes we covered today were really funny. I thought they were actually a lot better than the last few.
that's true, we are getting more of a groove.
Yeah, we're hitting a groove. I really appreciate the sweet moment at the end where, Marshall and Ted have a little heart to heart about Marshall wanting to be invited to this kind of stuff. And I always appreciate the clever storytelling devices, how they recall events through like exaggerations in
Mm,
memory. And, of course Ted
yeah,
wasn't there
yeah.
to see Marshall and Lily allegedly jump out of a third story window, but just like the way that, they portray the like honest to goodness, if the way, like, things happened in real life, the way, like, some people in my life describe them, like, that's how it would look like. It's so ridiculous, myself included. but I really enjoyed these. This was a really fun week.
Yeah, it was overall. I agree.
So, what's next week?
Yeah, so next week we will be talking about season 1, episode 6, The Slutty Pumpkin, and season
Ooh.
1, episode 7, Matchmaker, where we will learn all about the fish in the sea.
Well, I remember those, or at least one of those being really good, so I'm looking forward to that.
I think there are good moments in both of these. My predictions will be like 4s, but we'll see.
Thanks for listening to Puzzles, a How I Met Your Mother Re-Rewatch.
Please subscribe to us on your favorite podcast app and follow us at Puzzles Re-Rewatch on Blue Sky, Instagram, and TikTok. You can also send us your thoughts, questions, and feedback to puzzlesrerewatch@gmail.com.
Leave us a review, or if you're not into the socials like yours truly, tell a friend about our show.
See you next time.